Part 8. The Return of the Shadow. The night is dark, and the moon is barely visible through the thick fog. Arya stands on the edge of a cliff, her back to the wind, facing the uncharted lands before her. Her ship is docked at the base of the cliff, ready for the next phase of her journey. But something has changed within her. The ghost of Syrio Forel, his legacy, still looms over her every step. She knows she cannot fully escape him. Not yet. Arya had left the past behind, but as she moved further into the unknown, she could still feel the pull of her former life. The Faceless Men had given her power, but it had come at a price. Syrio Forel had become her shadow, and every time she picked up Needle, it was as if his legacy was still with her. She had chosen her own path, but now the shadow of the Faceless Men was chasing her. As Arya walks toward the village, she is stopped by a familiar figure. At first, she doesn't recognize him, but as he steps into the light, she sees the markings of the Faceless Men on his cloak, a symbol that sends a shiver down her spine. Mysterious stranger. You left too soon, Arya Stark. The Faceless Men never forget those who choose to abandon them. They will find you wherever you go. Arya, her hand instinctively moving to Needle. I made my choice. You can't follow me, not anymore. Mysterious stranger, his voice dark. Are you sure? Your past is a shadow that cannot be outrun, and you've made powerful enemies. I don't think you're ready for what's coming next. The man's words echoed in Arya's mind as he turned and walked away, disappearing into the fog. She knew he was right. The Faceless Men never forgot, and their reach extended farther than she could imagine. But Arya had chosen this life, and she wouldn't back down now. Later that night, Arya trains alone under the stars. The clang of needle against a practice dummy fills the air as she hones her skills. But in the back of her mind, the conversation with the stranger lingers. The Faceless Men weren't going to let her go. They would come for her, and when they did, she would need to be ready. With every strike of needle, Arya knew the truth. She could never escape her past, but she could control how she faced it. The Faceless Men would come, but Arya Stark would be ready. No longer would she fight for survival alone. This time, she would fight to protect the legacy she had built, not the one the Faceless Men had tried to create for her. The next morning, Arya is woken by the sound of footsteps outside her door. Her instincts kick in. She grabs Needle and silently moves toward the door. The moment she steps outside, a Faceless Man lunges at her from the shadows, his blade aimed directly at her heart. But Arya's reflexes are faster. With one swift motion, she deflects his strike, stepping into the movement and disarming him with a quick twist of her wrist. The Faceless Man stumbles back, surprise written across his face. This isn't a normal assassin. He's a trained killer, one who has learned from the best. Faceless assassin. You thought you could escape us, Arya Stark. There is no escaping what you have become. Arya, her voice cold. I'm not the person you think I am. I am Arya Stark, not one of your shadows, and I'll prove it. With one final swing, Arya lands a blow that sends the Faceless assassin to the ground. He's knocked out, but not dead. She leaves him unconscious, warning him as she walks away. Arya had won the battle, but she knew the war had just begun. The Faceless Men had found her, and they would not stop until they had her back under their control. The question was no longer about escaping them. It was about surviving the storm they would bring. Part 9. Into the heart of the Faceless Men. The days pass, and Arya grows more and more determined. The Faceless Men won't let her go easily, but Arya won't let them control her future. As she makes her way deeper into the uncharted lands, she receives word of a hidden temple where the Faceless Men supposedly train their newest recruits. It's time to confront them, to face the truth once and for all. Arya approaches the temple with caution. The faceless assassin she had defeated earlier now awake and watching her from a distance. The temple is a place of mystery, filled with old relics and silent watchers. Inside, Arya finds an ancient book containing details of the Faceless Men's origin, including Syrio Forel's original involvement in their order. She's shocked to learn that he wasn't just a faceless assassin, but one of their most trusted members, a key figure in their secretive operations. Each page of the book revealed something more shocking than the last. Syrio Forel had been at the center of the Faceless Men's rise to power. But there was a dark twist. He had never intended for Arya to follow his footsteps. His role was never to teach her the way of the Faceless Men. It was to test her, to see if she could survive the journey on her own. And now, that journey had come full circle. Arya was no longer a child seeking answers. She was the one with the answers. As Arya delves deeper into the Faceless Men's temple, she is confronted by the leader of the Faceless Men, the figure who had trained Syrio in his early days, and who now seeks to claim Arya as their own. Faceless leader, voice calm but filled with malice. You were never meant to walk away, Arya Stark. You carry the blood of 1,000 faces. The truth about Syrio Forel is hidden in your blood, and you will take your place among us. Arya, standing tall, resolute. I am not your puppet. I have my own face. I'm Arya Stark of Winterfell. The final battle had begun. Arya Stark faced the leader of the Faceless Men, not with fear, but with resolve. She knew the truth now. Syrio Forel's legacy was a part of her, but she would not let it define her future. She would forge her own path, no longer bound by the shadows of those who came before her. Arya fights with a fury and precision that reflects her growth throughout the story. The Faceless leader is a formidable opponent, but Arya's training has given her the edge. Needle becomes an extension of herself, as she uses both swordsmanship and strategic thinking to defeat her enemy. With one final strike, she takes down the leader, standing over him with fire in her eyes. The battle is over. Arya stands alone in the temple, breathing heavily, her sword dripping with the leader's blood. As she looks around, she feels a strange sense of peace. She has confronted the Faceless Men, discovered the truth about Syrio, and proven that she is no longer just a shadow of the past. She is Arya Stark, and her future is hers to decide. Arya Stark had chosen her own path. She had confronted the darkness of her past and come out stronger, more determined, and more alive than ever before. The journey had been long, but it was not over. The world was still out there, waiting for her to shape it with her own hands. Part 10. The Final Choice. The moonlight cuts through the trees, casting long shadows on the forest floor. Arya stands at the edge of the cliffs, overlooking the sea. The wind tugs at her cloak, and for the first time in weeks, she feels the weight of the decision before her. Behind her, the ruins of the Faceless Men's temple stand silent, a reminder of everything she's faced and uncovered. But ahead, the sea stretches into the unknown, and with it, the promise of a future that only she can define. Arya Stark had defeated the Faceless Men, unraveled the mystery of Syrio Forel's legacy, and survived the trials that would have broken most. But now, standing on the precipice of her future, she realized that the greatest battle she would face was not against the shadows or the enemies lurking in the dark. It was the battle against herself. What was she meant to do next? Where did her path lead now? As Arya gazes into the distance, a small ship approaches her location, cutting through the waves. A familiar figure emerges from the vessel, Gendry, now a lord of Storm's End, holding a letter in his hand. His presence stirs something deep within Arya, a reminder of home and the family she had left behind. Gendry, smiling as he steps toward her. I didn't think I'd find you out here, but I knew I would. You've always been someone who follows her own path, Arya. Arya, looking at him with mixed emotions. Did they send you to bring me back? Gendry, holding up the letter. Not exactly, but they wanted you to know that Winterfell is still waiting for you. The North needs its Stark. Jon Snow, Sansa, even Bran. They miss you. They haven't forgotten you. They want you to come home. Arya's heart wrenched at Gendry's words. Winterfell, her family, and the people she had fought for, bled for, and lost so much for. But her journey had taken her far from those cold, snowy hills, and Arya had never been someone to be bound by place or duty. She had always chosen freedom over allegiance, adventure over comfort. Yet as Gendry stood there, holding out her past, she realized that freedom came with consequences and choices. Arya walks down the cliffside, the cool night air whipping around her. Gendry follows her, but she remains quiet, lost in thought. The decision before her isn't just about Westeros or the world beyond. It's about who she wants to be and what she values most. Gendry, looking at her with understanding. You don't have to decide right now. But remember, the North is in need of leadership. Your family, they need you. Arya, her voice distant. I know they do. But I have my own path to walk now. I can't go back and pretend things are the same. Arya's words hung in the air, heavy with the weight of everything she had seen and learned. The truth about Syrio Forel had changed everything. Her understanding of what she was meant to do and the legacy she wanted to create. She was no longer a Stark bound by the expectations of family and duty. She was Arya Stark, a woman who could carve out her own future, and that future was no longer tied to the North or to any kingdom. Before Arya can speak further, the Faceless Men leader appears from the shadows, his face still hidden behind the cold, emotionless mask. Faceless leader, did you think we would simply let you leave, Arya Stark? You are one of us now. You cannot escape your true calling. Arya steps forward, eyes hardening. Arya, I'm not one of you. I never was. I've learned your ways, but I will never be defined by them. The leader steps closer, his presence overwhelming. Faceless leader, you are part of the legacy of the Faceless Men, Arya. You can never escape us. We are a part of you. Arya, with defiance, I don't belong to you. I am Arya Stark, and I choose my own future. Arya's words cut through the night air with the force of a blade. The Faceless Men had tried to claim her, tried to make her one of their own, but Arya had rejected that fate. She wasn't a shadow, a weapon, or a ghost. She was Arya Stark, and she would not be anyone else. As the Faceless Men leader retreats into the shadows, Arya is left alone with Gendry. She looks at him, torn between the two paths before her. She knows that returning to Winterfell would mean facing her family, her responsibilities as a Stark, and the expectations that came with it. But staying in these unknown lands, forging her own path, would mean living without the comfort of a home, a family, and the certainty she had once known. Gendry, gently, you don't have to make this decision alone, Arya. Whatever you choose, I'll be by your side. Arya, finally speaking with clarity. I know what I have to do now, but it's not about Westeros. It's not about the Faceless Men. It's about me, and what I choose to become. Arya had been lost for so long, searching for answers and for a purpose. She had been shaped by the events of her life, by the tragedies, the people, the lessons. But now, standing before the ocean and the horizon, she realized something she had never truly understood before. The future was hers to create. The world was wide open, and no one, not Syrio, not the Faceless Men, not even her family, could dictate her fate. Arya turns her back on the sea, facing Gendry with a new determination in her eyes. She's made her choice. No longer the girl who ran from the past, no longer the shadow of the people she once knew. Arya is ready to forge her own legacy. Arya, I'm going west, Gendry, to see what lies beyond the maps. The world is vast, and there are more mysteries out there. I will chart my own course. And so, Arya Stark, the last of the Starks to leave Westeros, set sail once more. Not as a warrior, nor as a sword master, but as a woman of her own making, one who had faced the ghosts of her past and emerged stronger for it. The seas ahead were unknown, but they were hers to conquer. Thank you for watching Arya Stark's journey. We hope you enjoyed discovering the secrets behind Syrio Forel and the Faceless Men. What do you think? Do you believe Syrio's legacy truly shaped Arya's path? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. We'd love to hear what you think. If you enjoyed this story and want to see more alternative endings, fan theories, and exciting content about your favorite shows, don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more. We have tons of great content coming your way. Also, share this video with fellow Game of Thrones fans and let them know what you think Arya's true destiny should have been. We'll see you in the next video.